Congratulations! You've accepted an offer on your house. The next 2 to 3 weeks are very important in this process, and you can feel like you're kind of sitting on pins and needles waiting to see how it all shakes out. But don't worry, this video is going to walk you through what to expect and what is going on during this phase of the transaction. One of the first things that will happen is the buyer and their agent are going to decide on what inspections they want and hire inspectors to come to your house. Once they're scheduled, they'll let me know the date and time, and I'll let you know. For the home inspection and the termite inspection, you'll want to make sure that all areas of the house are accessible. If you have a crawl space or attic space, make sure the inspectors can get to them. In your garage, if possible, try to leave the walls accessible. If you have boxes piled against the walls and they're somewhat movable, please just move them towards the center of the garage so the inspectors can see the walls. Make sure your smoke detectors are working and you have installed your carbon monoxide detectors prior to the inspection taking place. You do not need to be home during the inspection. The buyer's agent should be there, and many times the buyer will also be present. We will get a copy of the inspection report once it's ready. This is also the time when we present the disclosures that you filled out for the buyer to review. It is not uncommon for the buyers to come back and have additional questions about something that you disclosed. If they do, you can write a letter of explanation to help them better understand. And of course, it is always best practice to over-disclose. The lender will also be scheduling an appraiser to come out and do a property appraisal. After those things happen, we wait. We wait for the buyers to get back the inspections and decide if they're satisfied with the condition of the house or if there are any repairs they would like done in order for them to proceed with purchasing it. Technically, per the contract, they're purchasing the house as is, but remember, they are in their inspection contingency timeframe and would be within their right to cancel if items came up on the inspection that they felt uncomfortable with. Should they present us with a repair request, we have several options. We can agree to the repairs, we can negotiate which repairs will be done and which ones won't, or we can decide not to do any repairs. In the latter two options, the buyer then gets the option to decide if they accept our response or if they'd like to cancel the contract. Usually we're able to negotiate and come to an agreement if everyone feels is agreeable. Once we have agreed on any repairs requested, we ask the buyer to remove their inspection contingency. Once they do that, they cannot cancel for the reason of condition of the house. So then we wait for the appraisal to come back. Should the appraisal come back at the purchase price, we're good to go. We then ask the buyer to remove their appraisal contingency. If the appraisal comes in low, we have three options. We can reduce the sales price to the appraised value, meet somewhere in the middle with the buyer bringing in additional funds to make up the difference, and you're also lowering the purchase price, or we cancel the contract. Usually around the third week, we hear back from the lender once the loan has been fully approved, or if there are any other issues arising with the loan. Once the loan is approved, then the buyer will remove their last contingency. After all three contingencies are removed, the buyer does not have a way to cancel the contract without risking losing their deposit. If any repairs were agreed to, you should start getting those items fixed, as they will need to be done prior to close of escrow, and in some cases, if it's a repair required for the buyer's loan, we'll want to get those done ASAP so the appraiser or inspector can come back out and certify that the work was done. I recommend that you do not completely pack or move out until the buyer has removed all their contingencies or until we're feeling pretty confident that the transaction will close. You should, however, go ahead and schedule your moving company if you're using one, as they do book up well in advance. Close of escrow. So what is close of escrow? This is the date when escrow records the deed of the property to the new owner. That's the day you are no longer the owner of your home. And while the contract has a specific close of escrow date, that date sometimes ends up being more of a target that we're shooting for, and we rarely close on the exact date. And I know that can be really frustrating to not have an exact date from the beginning, but as we get closer, we'll get a better idea. Once the buyer's loan documents come into escrow and they sign, we usually have 4 to 5 business days after that before we close. Rest assured, I will be keeping in constant contact with the buyer's lender and finding out when we can anticipate their loan documents coming in, and finding out what their particular lender's timeframes are for funding the loan after they sign their documents. I know that was a lot of information, but I hope with a little bit of extra knowledge, it helps you to understand the moving parts that are happening during your escrow period. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help and answer any questions you have.